Welcome to Wesley Impact. I'm Keith Garner. Jesus was direct in his comparisons. What do you think that directness has to say to us today? Thank you for being with us today. Here at Wesley Mission, we have a number of congregations in our church and place a great deal of importance in having a diverse and active multicultural community in our city. My guest today, William Won-Hong Seung, is a leader in the Korean community in Australia. For many years now, he's served as president of the Korean Society of Sydney and is now the chairman of the Korean Australian Community Support and vice chair of the Multicultural Communities Council of New South Wales. I'll be speaking with William later in the programme and we'll ask why he feels supporting various multicultural groups in our community is still important to us. We shall be joined by Colin Buchanan, who will sing an original song of his, Faith Smiles. And I'll share some thoughts on a powerful incident in Luke's Gospel concerning a Pharisee and a tax collector. Over the next 4 weeks, I'd like to take a look at our work at Lifeline. Lifeline is a telephone counselling service started by one of my predecessors, the Reverend Alan Walker, 56 years ago. Today, Lifeline exists in many countries around the world, taking phone calls from people who are at their wits' end and may not have anywhere to turn. The number for Lifeline is 13 11 14, and someone is available to speak to you 24/7. Let's take a look at the first of two short films looking at the history of Lifeline.
Hello, this is Lifeline. Can I help you?
John Citizen, anonymous statistic. Cause of death, suicide whilst of unsound mind. John Citizen lost all hope. He thought that no one cared. It didn't have to happen.
Well, I gotta get the world off of my back. Oh, pretty soon I'm gonna crack.
I can't go on any longer. I'm here with 7 children in the house and we've nothing to eat.
I came from the country 3 months ago. I don't know anybody.
I'm 64 years old. I'm nearly blind and I'm alone.
The Lifeline movement began as a vision really under the leadership of the then Reverend Alan Walker from Wesley Mission. And he was essentially being inundated with calls to his home from people in distress.
What's the point of it when you're alone and there's no one? I got down this far to the phone, but now there's nothing to do except go back again. What's the point?
I received it late one Saturday night from a fellow who gave his name only as Roy. He said, "I've just written you a letter. When you get it, I'll be dead." I got a ring from the Darlington's police saying we've found the body of a man, Roy Brown, with a letter on his chest in a gas-filled room at King's Cross. Do you know him? It's addressed to you, that letter. So we buried Roy Brown, a lonely 38-year-old Australian. The only people at the funeral were Wynne, my wife, and the undertaker and myself. But that really projected us into finding an answer to this lonely Sydney.
He called some parishioners to his home in Roseville and said, look, what will I do? I want to help these people. Let's brainstorm, let's think, let's pray about how we can best support these people in need. And the idea came up, wouldn't it be good if we had a central place where people could ring in and get the help they need 24 hours? And they came up with this idea of the Lifeline telephone counselling service.
And then after organising everything, what will we call it? Someone said Lifeline. This is a lifeline. Throw out the lifeline. You know the hymn? Throw out the lifeline, yeah. Someone is thinking today.
Lifeline was born when we discovered the power of the telephone.
It was the 16th of March,
1963.
A new £40,000 Lifeline Centre is opened in Sydney by Lord Mayor Jensen. The centre, a project of the Methodist Central Mission, will maintain a 24 hours a day service to people who want help, and particularly people with emotional problems.
My wife and I were involved. We did the training, which was very simple in those days. We were counsellors for 23 and a half years.
The H2SF, car 1 to base. We're here. We'll check the booth at the eastern end first. Over and out.
Alan wrote a book, How Jesus Helped People, and that was our basic training. And that's how we started. We were rather naive, but I believe we helped many, many people.
If you would like to learn more about Wesley Mission, visit wesleymission.org.au. You can find help in our community services, connect with our church and congregations, discover a volunteer role that suits you, stay up to date on the latest news and information, donate to support our work, and help make a positive difference in your community. You can also connect with us on social media and subscribe to receive the latest news and information about Wesley Mission directly into your inbox. Visit wesleymission.org.au.
So don't hesitate to be in touch if you'd like to find out more about our work at Wesley Mission, or if we can be of help to you in any way. The contact details are on the screen now. My guest today is Vice Chairman of the Multicultural Communities Council of New South Wales, William Won-Hong Seung. Good to see you, William.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. You've had a long track record of supporting Korean community in Australia in general and specifically.
Yes.
Why is it important to you?
Well, as the first generation of immigrant, as the Korean Australian, I also want to look after Korean community here, and together with it is better to let the Australian knows the Korean community. So that's the multicultural country as Australia, so I think it is better to...
Your public service goes back to the 1990s with the Korean Language Schools Association Australia and continues today through the current role. What motivates you?
Well, at that time is my children is at very young age, including the family too. At that time is 1980s. Yes. Not so many Korean people. Yes. We can count is about, in Sydney, about 6,000 people. But still, as I thought, the second generations, they keep their heritage, culture, and languages. So that's why I was concerned about that. So that at the time is many Korean churches still working. So that they have a very small the Korean language school. So that's why I want to make it we will cooperate. So I want make the Korean Language Schools Association in Australia. So we share all the information together using the same text, or we qualify as teacher supplied or all sort of things. Yeah,
so you began with that 6,000, but now the figure is much bigger now, isn't it?
Yes.
120,000
now
in
is
Sydney?
Yes, we can count in Sydney the 120,000 and the 180,000 altogether in Australia.
Did you feel when you first arrived here welcome?
Oh yes, of course. At the time I worked for the Korean Airlines.
Yes.
For 9 years. During the time I'm luckily the posting as a regional manager Australia since 1979 and up to 82 for 3 years. I'm very lucky. So at that time I start to learn in Australia. So good country. They like a country, the honey and milk.
and the Christian faith is very important to Korean people. Having been there and preached in Korea, I'm conscious of and they have some huge churches.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
I can remember visiting Hanam University and as well as churches in the middle of Seoul. Why do you think the Christian church in Korea has grown so much?
Well, as you know well, probably the Korea is based on the Buddhism country. It used to be Buddhism, and based on that, and Confucianism on that, the last 600 years. And then after that, the early of the 20th century, the missionary group, including Australian missionary group, they introduced the Christianity to the Korean people. But after that, I think the God work for the Korean people. They very rapidly they developed. So the last number of the Christianity in Korea. So we can count up to 1/3 of the Korean population are Christian. Same way, the many people after the 1980s, because of so many reasons, the people, the immigrant to United States and Australia and Canada. One of them in Australia. Australia is a good country, but like me, I'm not Christian at that time. Even when I worked for the Korean as a representative in Australia, at that time, one of my friends, the Korean representative friends, introduced me to Korean church. At that time is the Peter Sham, the Korean the Presbyterian church at the time. So there's small number of about the less than 100 people attended. That time is I start to learn of course, God and Bible and all sort of things. But now I think we can count about 300 Korean church in Sydney.
That's right, and I know you're very involved in your Uniting Church.
Yes, I do.
That you're involved in. Tell me how the experience for migrants has changed over the years.
Well,
how has it changed? Is it easier? Is for people when they come from Korea to Australia?
Yes, at the 1970 up to 2000, I think comparatively easier. But after that is a little harder than before. Especially these days, the Koreans and including the other immigrant people is very worried about their joining families or all sort of things. But now it has been changed. But even the last government is trying to change the law, including the English test. English test, the 6.1 IELTS, that is really qualified to the university, the academic student. But of course now it's go back to...
William, it's a delight to talk to you. We know that our experience of Korean people is a warm and generous people. And I want to say to you, congratulations on your honour and award for the work that you've done. And thank you to you and all the people that you represent here in Australia. May God bless you, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
Let's welcome now Australian singer and songwriter Colin Buchanan, singing with the Wesley Impact Band, an original song of his, Faith Smiles.
Faith smiles from a deep, deep place, starts in the heart, shapes the face. Deals with me according to his mercy, and I'll be home in a little while. Faith smiles, faith smiles, faith laughs like a joyful child, safe, loved, undefiled. Wisdom knows the weight of pain and sadness, but heaven is its happy aftermath. Faith laughs, faith laughs, faith weeps at the mess of sin, real tears for the world we're in. Mercy leaves them overcome with wonder, moved by love so tender yet so deep. Faith weeps, Faith became her story. Her life was not her own. Jesus got the glory. Jesus called her home. She lived in grace. She ran the race. That's faith. Real faith. Faith sings with a love divine, shines bright in the darkest time. They sang around her bed as she lay dying, believing she'd be welcomed by her King. Faith sings. Faith weeps. Faith laughs. Faith smiles.
Experience the Galilee and the towns and cities where Jesus was raised and called his home. Capernaum, Nazareth, Tabgha, Magdala, Caesarea Philippi, Bethsaida, Tiberias, and of course the Sea of Galilee all feature in this 6-part series as Keith Garner explains the first century context of biblical events.
Jesus was born during a time of change in the political and economic leadership of this region. Fishermen around a lakeside was really one of the big businesses. Why Jesus? Why didn't people ignore him? Why did they take him seriously? And what are the questions we should be asking today if we're going to take Jesus seriously?
The Man of Galilee is available now and comes with a study guide for leaders, small groups and individuals. For more, visit wesleymission.org.au.
Jesus has been teaching about persistence in prayer. And as he spoke to his disciples, his purpose was to tell them that they must not give up. He goes on to teach a parable addressed to those who were, in speech marks, confident of their own standing before God and who looked down on everybody else. So that helps us to understand the words I'm about to read from Luke 18:9 through to 14. To some who are confident of their own righteousness and look down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you that I'm not like the other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give 1/10 of all I get. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. This appears to be directed at religious leaders and other self-righteous people. It's a good thing, I reckon, when you read this passage in Luke, that no specific group is mentioned, because as we say, don't we, if the shoe fits, you wear it. In other words, it can relate to us. It can relate in any setting, in any generation, to any kind of people. And I'm sure we can all identify with the character who is self-righteous. There may be an element of that in all of us, I don't know. But I know that Jesus is saying that there are some people for whom this is the predominant factor. They feel confident that they're good enough, that they're strong enough, that they really are somebody to count. We're told that 2 people went up to pray at the temple. One is a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. One stood by himself and prayed, and the other stood at a distance. Notice just how many times in the prayer there is a focus upon himself. He tells us, doesn't he, in this particular passage, that he's offering this prayer. He said, I'm not like other people. I thank God. I fast twice a week. There's a real sense in which the focus is on those personal pronouns. Actually, he seems to be not praying, but congratulating himself in relation to just how good he is. One writer suggested he thanked God for his invincible goodness. What a splendid fellow he is. He says he's not like the other people. I mean, that's one way to think about how good you are, isn't it? Compare yourself to other people and say, I'm better than they are, or I'm not as bad as they are. And his religious practice is exemplary. We get a picture here of how good he is at his religion. It tells us in verse 12, I fast twice a week and I give a tenth of all I get. That's what is expected of him, but he does it. On the other hand, the tax collector is swift to recognise that he dares not even look up to heaven, and he uses the age-old cry of confession, God have mercy on me, a sinner. What an important verse that is. It's such a package up of what it means for us to be able to come to God and recognise just who we are. Jesus allows his audience and his readers to decide which one is justified before God. The tax collector might well have practiced extortion. He might well have been somebody who knew what it was to be bad in so many practical ways. Tax collectors were hated by many because they collected money on behalf of the Romans. And he'd have very little friends and very few friends that he could turn to. But God acknowledged his humility and his contrite heart. This tells us that we're accepted by God not by virtue of our merits, but because of the outstanding mercy of God. It's one of those accounts where Jesus does a comparison. There is this, there is this. There's somebody who believes that they are special and good, in good standing before God, and there's somebody who recognises, even before a word is spoken, that they really are not the kind of person that has natural mercy from God. Because mercy, by definition, is a gift of God, irrespective of who we are, speaking into our emptiness, speaking into our sinfulness, and speaking into the very real experience that is ours of not being relevant and ready to be able to claim our own righteousness before God, such as this man does. So you have the two of them. They stand and people watch, and this could be a very real incident that happened in the temple courts because people went there. And you can just imagine people looking at these two fellows and saying, which one of these two is the one that really is going to have a good standing before God? Before you know anything about them, you might say it's got to be the religious man here, hasn't it? It's got to be the person who has got the standing and is recognised by everybody. Certainly not this rogue over here. But in point of fact, it may well be the rogue over here who is the one that has mercy because he reaches out to God.
If you would like to contact Keith and find out more about today's program, write to us at Wesley Mission, Post Office Box A 5555, Sydney South 1235, or you can send us an email to impacttv@wesleymission.org.au. On our website, you can catch up on past episodes of Wesley Impact, find out more about our work, read online magazines and articles, and connect with us on social media. You can also connect through Keith's blog and stay up to date on all the latest news and information from Wesley Mission, wesleymission.org.au.
Do write to me if you've got questions about the Christian faith or anything that you've heard on this programme today. I always look forward to hearing from you and responding to your emails and letters. Let's take a look now at some of the events coming up at Wesley Mission.
Wesley Mission is holding a Wills Day on Thursday the 31st of October at the Campbelltown Catholic Club, where you can have your will professionally prepared by an independent solicitor from as little as $60. Bookings are essential, so please visit wesleymission.org.au/wills to reserve your appointment. The 106th Annual Wesley Fair is coming up on Thursday the 7th of November. This event is a highlight on the Sydney CBD calendar and features amazing entertainment, a fashion parade, an exciting auction and much, much more. By coming to the fair, you'll not only find great bargains, but you'll also be supporting the refurbishment of the Wesley Edward Eger Centre for the homeless. Be a hero for homelessness and run in the 2019 Sydney Classic Tough Mudder on the 16th and 17th of November at Glenworth Valley. It's 5 kilometres of teamwork, challenging obstacles and, of course, lots of mud. Search Mudder at wesleymission.org.au.
So the website is once again on the screen for more information about the events that we have coming up. You can also stay up to date with Wesley Mission on our social media channels. I hope you found the conversation with William interesting. And I also hope that the thoughts about the Pharisee and the tax collector would speak meaningfully to you. Thank you once again for your time, and I look forward to you sharing with us and seeing you again at the same time next week as we meet you here on Wesley Impact. It's a joy to host this programme, but it's an even greater joy to have you share with us in whatever way you can. God bless you.
Wesley Mission answers over 39,000 calls each year through Lifeline Sydney and Sutherland. To find out more, visit wesleymission.org.au.